from the resonant aspirations of the youth for unity and freedom to the complicated dance of geopolitical dynamics. Join us as we explore Gabon's recent coup.
Forces de défense et de sécurité, réunies au sein du comité pour
The
la
echoes of
transition.
change flowing from the West and the critical role of institutions like as the African Union and ECOWAS. We uncover the tapestry of influences, desires, and obstacles that create Africa's dynamic story in this episode. Gabon, a country known for its oil production, was taken by the military on Wednesday, and the country's president, Ali Bongo, was placed under house arrest. After the Central African States Election Commission announced that Bongo had won a third term as president, the military stepped in. The election results were nullified, borders were closed, and state institutions were abolished in an overnight broadcast announcement made by a dozen officials of the juntas. They claimed to speak on behalf of Gabon's armed forces, and their revelation ignited early morning celebrations in the capital city of Libreville. Notably, the location of the television broadcast appeared to be the presidential residence. The group's leaders introduced themselves as the Committee of Transition and the Restoration of Institutions. In defense of their action, they cited Gabon's severe institutional, political, economic, and social crisis. They said that the election held on August 26th was not legitimate because of its lack of openness. Although there were reports of gunshots in the streets of Libreville immediately following the declaration, peace eventually returned and jubilation erupted. As a result, police were stationed in greater numbers at the city's busiest crossroads. Ali Bongo, president since 2009 after his father Omar's 47-year reign, was detained by the military. Critics have criticized the Bongo family for not sharing the country's oil and mining wealth, with more of the 2.3 million people living there. Since 2020, there have been 7 other coups in West and Central Africa, in Niger, Mali, Guinea, Burkina Faso, and Chad. Ali Bongo, from his former home, sent out a video message pleading for people to get behind him.
And I'm to send a message to all the friends that we have all over the world to tell them to make noise,
However, the reaction was very different, with many people flooding the streets and shouting the national song in favor of the coup. Ali Bongo is one of the wealthiest men in Africa, with an estimated personal fortune of about $2 billion, thanks to inheriting his father's political position and commercial interests. During his administration, relations with France cooled while those with the United States, China, and Arabs strengthened. The historical relationship between Gabon and France, its former colonial power, is characterized by a complex nature. Bongo's electoral campaign experienced a significant enhancement as a result of the visit by French President Emmanuel Macron earlier this year. Approximately 87% of Gabon's 63-year history since attaining independence in 1960 has been characterized by the governance of the Bongo family. Ali Bongo's administration has had to deal with a number of big problems, like when he had a stroke in 2018 and had to go to Rabat, Morocco to get better. In January 2019, a failed coup took place in Gabon, which was another important event. Gabonese security troops quickly stepped in and stopped the coup in its tracks. The people who planned the coup wanted to turn the public against the Bongo family's authoritarian rule by getting people to take organized. Even though they tried hard, the attempted coup failed because security forces stepped in. This shows how complicated and tense Gabon's political situation have been. The way things are going in Gabon reminds me of a missed chance that has been talked about all over Africa for decades. France's past treatment of its former colonies shows a very important problem: the lack of real nation building. This is a big mistake when you think about how Africa's huge natural resources have been used without bringing about enough growth. As an example, Niger sends uranium to France so that it can make energy, but the country itself gets its electricity from Nigeria. This trend of taking resources without investing fairly has made it hard for many African countries to reach their full potential. This background has made it possible for relationships and power to change. As the push for change in Africa, led by young people, grows stronger, countries like Russia and China are stepping up to help. Unlike some Western powers, China, for example, has chosen an approach that focuses on building infrastructure and building relationships that are good for both sides, rather than openly meddling in politics. Many African countries now see them in a good light because of this. There is no doubt that these changes will have an effect on other things. Gabon's problem is part of a bigger story that is happening all over the continent. The combination of historical legacies, the way the economy works, and changing global alliances has set the stage for a complex geopolitical environment. As these things keep changing, they show how hard it is for Africa to keep fighting for self-determination and real growth. During the Niger crisis, the African Union and ECOWAS were put in a difficult situation. While in principle, they agreed with the European Union's rejection of the coup and call for President Bazoum's return, their actions prompted concerns about the relative weight of foreign influence and domestic autonomy. This example illustrated the complex interplay of interests at the intersection of regional peace and democratic ideals. Keeping these competing interests in check is a major obstacle for these groups as they attempt to advance regional peace and the people's true desires. As global power shifts around the world, the way Africa is seen is also changing. The time when colonial powers ruled is coming to an end. Now young people in Africa are demanding a seat at the table and building relationships on mutual respect and benefit. As Russia and China reach out to help, the African continent is at a crossroads and has the chance to decide its own future and break free of its past. As this exploration of Africa's evolving landscape draws to a close, one cannot help but contemplate the path that lies ahead. The recent coup in Gabon exemplifies the powerful currents of change spreading across the African continent, where the young and the determined confront the complexities of geopolitics. From Lagos to Nairobi, and from Kigali to every corner of the globe, the appeal for African unity and self-determination resonates strongly. Amidst the momentum, however, a number of concerns remain unanswered. Will this wave of African empowerment continue to surge, encompassing every nation on the continent? Is there a deliberate plan in motion, meticulously orchestrating Africa's future? And what motivates Russia and China to support these transformative changes? Despite these uncertainties, a ray of hope shines brighter. Could African nations ultimately unite to form a formidable, borderless, and politically independent Africa? Imagine the impact of a united Africa as the world's most resource and potential-rich continent. As the sun sets in Lagos, rises over the vastness of Nairobi, and illuminates the vibrant streets of Kigali, one thing is evident: Africa's voyage toward empowerment and prosperity is a shared endeavor that captivates us all. Join us on this ongoing expedition of discovery and enlightenment. Turn on the notification bell and subscribe to Rise Africa to receive timely updates, insights, and perspectives on Africa's evolving narrative. Until we meet again, remain curious and engaged.